If it happens, Bud Crawford, oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
I ain't going to be able to sustain throughout the fight. Watch.
Hitting punches, like just the whole stat. Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of this, skill set.
Shannon Sharpe didn't mince words when discussing the risks Canelo Alvarez faces against Terence Crawford. Speaking live on air, Sharpe cautioned that although Crawford has spent most of his career at 147 pounds, he's no stranger to handling larger opponents in sparring. He emphasized that Crawford's move up in weight only adds to his threat, making him even more dangerous than many expect. Sharpe's message to Canelo was direct: underestimate Crawford, and it could turn into a costly mistake.
Fighters, they're not going to give me my due because I'm going to have 3 or 4 losses. And that's what's happening. Guys won't fight anybody that the fans want to see, or a fighter that's deserving. You're absolutely right. David Benavidez deserved the fight Canelo, but Canelo doesn't want to fight him because he knows there's a greater chance of him losing versus Benavidez versus Bigger Charlo. And so that's what, now, am I going to go see if it happens, Bud Crawford? Oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree.
Daniel Jacobs broke down the matchup with a sharp technical eye before sharing his verdict. He acknowledged Canelo Alvarez's power and vast experience, but pointed out that Terence Crawford brings a unique arsenal of skills that make him both unpredictable and dangerous. Jacobs emphasized Crawford's adaptability, noting how he can switch styles seamlessly during a fight, throwing opponents off balance and neutralizing their strengths. According to Jacobs, this versatility, paired with Crawford's quick reflexes and high ring IQ, could create serious problems for Canelo. He reminded fans that while Canelo has shown resilience against heavy hitters like Gennady Golovkin, dealing with Crawford's speed, accuracy, and tactical brilliance would present a completely different type of challenge. For these reasons, Jacobs expressed greater confidence in Crawford, believing his superior skill set gives him the edge.
For instance, when he fought the guy that he lost to just recently.
Bivol,
yeah. Shout out to Bivol. He wasn't really able to find that niche there, but in spurts, you can see him adapting, right? And so the biggest difference between Bivol and Crawford is the size difference in the power. Even though Bivol was an ultimate boxer, he still was able to keep him off him with the sheer power and strength. But with Crawford, I think that it'll be challenging for Canelo to get around the skill set, but it wouldn't be challenging for him to be able to endure the pain. And so that's what Canelo, because the mindset too is, if you can't hurt me, no matter what you do, I'm going to keep coming forward. So if Canelo could adapt that mindset, take the shots, because he's going to be throwing. And if you look at the stats too, in terms of punch output, in terms of landing punches, like just the whole stat, Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of this, skill set.
Is this the biggest fight for his legacy? If obviously he wins, I think, yes, yeah. I think it would be the biggest win. But given the fact that a lot of people, I think, expect Canelo to win because of the weight, where do you rank this in comparison to that huge fight with Errol Spence?
So if Canelo wins, it would be one of his most top tier wins, but it would also be expected. So I don't know if it would take the umph off of it, rather the other way around, because of the size difference and what all Canelo has been accomplishing for the last.
Victor Oladipo broke down what he sees as Crawford's defining quality, his ability to cause damage without relying solely on raw power. He explained that Crawford's timing and precision allow him to land punches opponents don't anticipate, making them far more punishing than they appear at first glance. Oladipo believes this is exactly why Crawford holds the advantage against Canelo Alvarez. While Alvarez is known for his durability, Oladipo argued that disciplined fighters who refuse to get dragged into brawls can outmaneuver him. Crawford thrives in those situations, showing patience until the perfect opening appears. In Oladipo's view, It's this rare blend of intelligence, composure, and striking accuracy that makes him confident Crawford would emerge victorious.
He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for that Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He feels
he believes in his skill. We can't answer for him. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might be stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well. That he might do really well in there. So look,
You fought them both. Like, what are the differences between them? Obviously, it's way.
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit. Very easily. Yeah. Compared to when I fought against Crawford. Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. Yeah. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard. Yeah. Because. And you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much weight? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
I don't
prove anything.
Canelo would say payday, but Crawford wants to be 3-time undisputed, and if he does that, oh my goodness!
Wow. I mean, that'll be unreal. But look. If he believes in himself, yes, go for it. Yeah. But don't do it if he's got second thoughts. If he's got second thoughts, don't do it. If he has to be 100% confident, and listen, I'll even go and help him for that if I have to. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Because look, I love Crawford. I think he's a lovely guy. Because I got to know him when I trained with him, away from the boxing ring, away from boxing, and the guy's he's a diamond. You know what I mean? So if I can help him in any way, I'd love to do that. But look, but if I was him, just enjoy. What you've got now.
Boots Ennis praised Terence Crawford's efficiency inside the ring, noting that every punch he throws serves a clear purpose. Unlike many fighters who waste energy on unnecessary shots, Crawford is deliberate with his timing and selection, striking only when it matters most. Ennis explained that this level of discipline reflects Crawford's high boxing IQ, enabling him to maximize both accuracy and impact. That be why conserving energy and picking his moments wisely, Crawford limits opportunities for opponents to counter. This approach also makes him especially dangerous in longer fights, where his stamina allows him to gradually wear opponents down. Ennis believes that this sense of control and precision will be crucial against Canelo Alvarez, where every small edge could prove decisive against such an experienced champion.
And so people don't understand, he can box and he's smart.
Yes.
He don't waste no punches, man.
He don't waste no punches.
And he's really smart, man, when it comes to that boxing game. But it was me and I'm training him.
Yeah.
I would have him frustrating Canelo. What I would do with him, I would hit him with some good shots, combination shots, because you know, Canelo got to be set to throw punches.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? If Crawford boxing move, he don't like nobody to boxing move, and that's what I think Crawford's going to do.
Diego Pacheco offered a balanced breakdown, recognizing the different paths each fighter has to victory. He explained that Terence Crawford, with his sharp technique and strong defensive awareness, is more likely to win by outpointing Canelo Alvarez over 12 rounds rather than stopping someone as durable as him. At the same time, Pacheco highlighted Canelo's tremendous punching power, especially to the body, which always gives him a real chance of ending the fight with a knockout if he lands clean. For Pacheco, this contrast perfectly illustrates the clash of styles, Crawford's mastery of distance and fluid combinations against Canelo's relentless pressure and heavy hands. In his view, the result will come down to one key factor: which fighter manages to control the tempo.
On that Canelo versus Crawford fight, how do you see that fight going, and what's your prediction?
That's a very, very good fight. You know, two great fighters. I grew up admiring them my whole life, you know, so I'm excited for that fight. I think Crawford is a hell of a fighter. You know, if it goes the distance, he might be able to get that decision win. But I think if there's a knockout, then it might be Canelo who's getting the knockout win. But I'm ready to watch the fight. You know, I'm going to be a big fan that night, and just be rooting for both guys. You know, they're both.
Ade Oladipo reflected on Canelo Alvarez's career path, noting that while the Mexican star is still an elite fighter, he no longer looks like the unstoppable force he once was. He pointed to the rematch with Gennady Golovkin in 2018 as the version of Canelo at his absolute peak, a night when his skill, power, and confidence seemed unmatched. But as Oladipo emphasized, that was 7 years ago. Since then, although Canelo has continued to perform at a high level, there have been signs of gradual decline. He suggested that sparring with young, hungry talents like Jaron Boots Ennis might be Canelo's attempt to recapture the sharpness that naturally fades over time. This raises the question, Oladipo argued, of whether Canelo's current form is truly enough to deal with Terence Crawford, who appears to be operating at the very height of his powers. From his perspective, experience alone may not be enough to compensate for the erosion of peak athleticism.
Fighting the best Canelo anymore. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, I mean, second Golovkin fight, I thought was fucking incredible. That was... What was that? That feels like a long, long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, or 5.5 years. That's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September. So it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, almost 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. It clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite, Edgar Berlanga, no, Munguia, no, Jamel, no, John Ryder, no, third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull, Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well,
Regis Prograis pushed back strongly against the idea that Terence Crawford's power would be a serious problem for Canelo Alvarez. He argued that Alvarez has already endured punches from naturally larger, heavy-handed champions without showing real signs of vulnerability. Prograis stressed that Canelo is widely regarded as having one of the most durable chins in boxing, making him incredibly difficult to hurt. That said, Prograis didn't dismiss Crawford entirely. He acknowledged that Crawford's tactical intelligence, movement, and ability to adapt could allow him to outbox Canelo over the course of 12 rounds. But in his view, sheer punching power won't be enough. Crawford will need to rely heavily on skill, precision, and strategy if he wants to overcome a physically imposing opponent like Alvarez.
I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You got to look at it, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. You know, his head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, DeLaura, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, you know, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that, but I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, you know. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, you know, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right? You talk about Canelo, and
Crawford's trainer emphasized that conditioning could be the decisive factor in this matchup. He explained that if Canelo Alvarez begins to slow down or fatigue as the fight wears on, Terence Crawford will seize the moment with his superior speed and endurance. Crawford has built a reputation for thriving in the later rounds, often raising his intensity once opponents start to fade. His quickness not only helps him land sharp counters, but also allows him to evade retaliation, punishing even the slightest dip in energy from his rivals. The trainer warned that against a fighter as sharp as Crawford, losing even half a step in movement or reflexes can prove costly. This, he stressed, places heavy pressure on Canelo to sustain a relentless pace for the entire fight, a daunting challenge at this stage of his career.
Fight. Watch. And he usually slows down between 6 and 7. You slow down, that's a fucking wrap.
That's what you've been seeing in these last couple fights from him?
I mean, yeah. Fuck yeah. I've seen him slow down, going into the later round.
Teddy Atlas delivered one of the strongest endorsements of Terence Crawford's chances. He described Crawford as a complete fighter, disciplined, adaptable, and mentally tough, the kind of athlete who can rise to any challenge, even when stepping up in weight. Atlas contrasted this with Canelo Alvarez, arguing that he is no longer the same hungry competitor he once was. In Atlas's view, years of fame and success have dulled Canelo's edge, leaving him less sharp than in his prime. He even went so far as to call Canelo overrated compared to Crawford, pointing to recent performances as evidence of decline.
Or you could agree again. It's up to you, whatever. But he's made so much money that the urgency's not there. The fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right, if you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you know, you could make the argument that he lost the first Triple G.